Crazy Penguin teaches you Linux. NickSnoob.com.
Welcome to NickSnoob. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to manage disk space in Linux. I'm going to start out in the terminal, but if you're someone that hates the terminal, I will leave chapter markers. I will also show you how to manage disk space or find out what's using up your disk space in Linux using some graphical utilities as well. So you can skip ahead to those if you just hate the terminal, but we'll start out in the terminal because that is the most Linux way to do it. And also, if you're administrating remote machines, SSHing in, or just are talking to a machine that doesn't have a graphical user interface, then or a desktop environment, then this is how you would have to do that. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. First thing is what commands do we have available to manage this space? And for that, or to find that out, we can just do apropos. And then space usage, and I'm going to put that in quotes so it doesn't search for those as separate words, space usage. And if we do that, we only get two options back. We've got df and du. And if we do a man df, we can see that that is basically reports file system space usage. And we can also scroll down through that and see all the different flags. One of the most important being the -H for human readable. So let's just quit out of this and give that a try. So if I do a df, it's going to print out this. So we can see our file system, our blocks, used, available, where it's mounted. And if I do, and you can see the used and available space are just numbers. If I do a df-h, then it's going to show me that in like gigabytes, terabytes, megabytes, etc. And so this is our whole file system. So we can see, where things are mounted, and like slash is 33% full, and that's 22.4 or 2.4 terabytes. Anyway, so that's our main disk. If we wanted to sort this out, we could just take that same command and pipe it to sort. And then for sort, we'd have to pass it R. That R will just reverse the sort. So instead of being, low to high, it'll start out with the largest on top. And then we tell it H because we're going to sort on a human readable column. So that will allow it to sort on something that's formatted like 1.5G, 2.4T, etc. Where normally that wouldn't sort. And then we need to give it a key. And so if you look at our output here, we've got file system as the first column, size as the second column, used as the third column. So let's do it on used. So I'll do basically column 3, but the K stands for key. And you can see here now this is sorted by our used space. So we've got 1 terabyte and then 39 megs and then 3.9 megs, 3.3 megs, etc. And so if we wanted to sort on the available column, we could just change that key to 4. And now it's going to show us, or now it's going to sort based on what's available. So we can see that this disk has the most available. It's also the most used. Anyway, so that's how you can get an overall picture of all your disks. And then the du command, I'm just going to run it here. Well, let's do man du. And so du estimates file space usage. And so I'm just going to do it on the current directory, and you'll see that that's going to just be a bunch of stuff. Okay, so that's a lot. We can tell it to only do like a maximum of so many directories. So if we go du and do max depth equals 1, now it's just doing, let's see, and where am I? Yeah, so this is just showing our current directory. We can also give it a directory. Like so, I was just wondering why that was printing out so big. Usually I pass the du, the -h command also. And then we could also pass that to sort if we wanted to sort that out. But we can just drill in here. Let's go ahead and do it. Pipe it to sort and do the same thing. We'll do this. I won't reverse. I want the largest thing on the bottom. And so I'm just going to do a -h for human readable and -k1. All right, so our biggest thing is our videos. Our next biggest thing is our pictures. Our next biggest thing is our downloads. So we could just up arrow and go to that command instead of not giving it a file, like what to search. We can tell it the folder that we want to search. So in this case, I want to do my downloads. And pipe that to the sort. So now I can see in my downloads the biggest thing. I mean, it always lists the dot file at the end, which is the current folder. So the downloads, the biggest thing in downloads is the 4.4 gig Linux folder. But we could just drill into here. Like we've got 102 megabytes in our fonts folder. I could just go downloads fonts. And now I can see which folder in my fonts folder has the most files, is taking up the most space. So that's super useful. And typically I don't sort it. I mean, it depends on how big that output is. It is nice to just sort that way and have your biggest stuff on top, or reverse it and have it on top, or not reverse it and have it on the bottom. But so that's super useful. Basically, if I'm trying to on a remote server, and let me just show you that this does work on a remote server. If I went SSH, let's see, regex at Horus. So this is just a computer on my network. I can do a df -h, and that's going to show me what's the current disk space looks like. I can see that the dev SDA2 is mounted /, so that's the home directory. And then I could just do let's do an ls here and see. Let's do downloads. Let's do a downloads. All right, let's get in there and let's do a du max depth equals 1. And so since I didn't give it a directory, that's the current directory. And you can see it's having to think about this a little bit. But there you go. And if we hold that to be du-h and then pipe that to a sort, I'm going to let it sort low to high and then just do the human readable and like key 1. So we can see that that our Linux folder has the most space in it, right? So it's real fast to find out what is taking up space somewhere on your disk. And this is nice because you can just drill into it. So if I just went in and did, like normally I could put a dot here, which also means current folder. And then we could just go, dot/Linux. And I can see, what's taking up the most space in that folder. So super easy to drill down and find out what disk is full. On that disk that's full, what on the file system is taking up the most space. And then, in that directory, what is taking up the most space, and just find out what's taking up the most space on your file system. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of here. And now we're going to take a look at some graphical utilities that basically do the same thing. One is called FileLight, and this pertains particularly to Kubuntu or KDE distros. Kubuntu and KDE, you've got Dolphin. And if I open Dolphin, right here where it says 2.3 terabytes free, if you click on that, if you don't already have FileLight installed, it'll ask you to install FileLight. But if you already have it installed, then it'll give you this where we can see the disk usage for current device, all devices, or the current folder. So if I did current device, that would show me for this particular drive. If I did all devices, then that would show me for all my drives. And if I do current folder, then that's going to show me disk usage in the current folder. And so this is giving me a graphical picture, and I can hover over it. It's going to tell me what it is. So just looking from the middle here, here's our disk. This is taking up the most space, which is my videos. And then here is taking up the next, largest amount of space, which are my pictures. And then this is the next, which is a .local folder. And then my downloads folder is here. I can see that in my downloads, the biggest thing is this Linux. And then anyway, you get the idea. Super, super useful. This can be kind of slow on large file systems, though, but it is nice that it's just built right in like that. Another option is Konqueror, and Konqueror was the built-in file manager for KDE before they switched to Dolphin, and so it doesn't come installed by default anymore, so you will have to go download that. I personally like Synaptic, but you can also use the Discover or apt-get, just sudo apt-get installs Synaptic. Not Synaptic, Konqueror. So Konqueror is spelled with a K, like all the KDE apps. And then there are some extras that you'll want to get for Konqueror, because by default it doesn't have the file size view. And I believe that comes with the Conq plugins here. But so you want to install Konqueror, Conq plugins, and then there's some extra things that if you're going to use Konqueror, that you might want to get. But anyway, so let's open Konqueror. That's going to show up under Internet. And so basically, this was the file manager before Dolphin and KDE, so we can click on our home folder and go look at that. And then one thing this does that that Dolphin doesn't do, is that you can split this as many times as you want and then save that as a profile, which can be handy if you're working on, a bunch of directories where you've got it arranged where you're constantly dragging stuff between directories, or like administering a remote system and drag and drop, like doing your Apache config, or, that kind of stuff, where you have a bunch of different folders open and you're dragging and dropping and making shortcuts. This can actually be really, really useful for that. But to stay on topic, I'll show you how that works. But to stay on topic, we can just come up here and go view mode, and go file size view. And now we've got a nice file size view showing us what's taking up space on our disk. So I can look right here and see that in my home, my videos is the biggest. The next biggest is pictures. And then this is just drilling down into all the things. You can also double click. Or I thought you could double click. Maybe you can't anymore. Open a new tab. I thought you could just double click and drill into it. Doesn't look like you can anymore. But anyway, in Flashlight you can, not Flashlight, FileLight. In FileLight you can click and drill into the thing. But this does give me a picture. I can just look at this real quick and see what is taking up space on my disk. And then couple of tricks Konqueror has up its sleeve is the one we can split a million ways. So I can right click down here and say split left right. And then if I click on a thing, I can go back to my home directory there. Let's go into my downloads, and then we can split this left right. We can split this up down. So split top bottom. And we can do that as many times as we want. have different directories. Like, let's say I was in my font directory in another directory and was dragging and dropping links, right? Like, so I can just drag a link here, link here. I don't want to do that. But for managing things, if this was something that I wanted to do a lot of, like maybe managing my fonts in Inkscape or something like that, then I could set this up the way I want it, and then basically save that as a profile. And they've probably changed this since the last time I did it. I used to use profiles a lot. Sessions, save as. So let's go save as. I'll just call this test. Okay. And now I can open up a new Konqueror window. And then go file and go sessions and open test. And that's going to put me right back where I was. So super, super nice. Another trick that Konqueror has up its sleeve is if I just control T, it's tabbable. So we've got tabs here. That's where we were. It'll browse web pages. You can FTP or SFTP, so like you can SSH into remote file systems. You can also do that on Dolphin. But so I could FTPS. Oh, nope. SFTP. That's what I wanted. There we go. So now I'm browsing a remote file system. So super nice that I can split and split multiple times. I could have 3 different servers and drag and drop files between different servers like this and save that as a profile. But another trick it has up its sleeve is it'll do man pages. So, and sorry for the white screen here, but if I do man : and then do df, there you go. There's your man page for df as a nice little web page, basically. So Konqueror, still super useful, and I hope this helps you manage your files in Linux. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.